Hi, my name is Kansas Ty. In 1865, Dr. James Berry died of dysentery at about the age of 70. He started off as a military surgeon and was later the Inspector General over military hospitals. He was the first person to ever perform a successful cesarean section in Africa where both the mother and the child survived. He was considered to be a great man, but he wasn't. A man, that is. James Berry was born Margaret Ann Bulkley in a time when only men could practice medicine. In order to pursue her goal of becoming a doctor, she had to dress and live as a man. She was technically the first female British doctor. She was not the only woman who had to pretend to be a man in order to pursue the career she wanted, especially if the job that you wanted to do involved defending your country. I would like to share with you the ways that members of the human race are being held back just because of the way that they were born and what we can do to help end these prejudices. My credibility comes from observing real-life situations of the ways that people are treated. Everyone deserves an equal chance at every opportunity. This chance shouldn't be taken away just because you happen to be a girl. As human beings, we should not get so hung up on our differences to the point of which we would not hire someone because of their race. Discrimination based on gender is a problem that can cause somebody's whole life to take a turn for the worse. Gender inequality is the difference in power and status that men and women have. We are started off from childhood being taught that we are different. Trucks and guns are boy toys, while dolls and makeup are girl toys. This starts the definite separation at a young age. It shows that boys are more dominant and that girls are more delicate, and that they should take roles such as homemakers while men go out and do the real work. Since people everywhere are raised to think this way, it often carries on into adulthood. Nerf now has a line of dart guns, especially for girls, called the Rebelle. Instead of being on the aisle with all the rest of the Nerf guns, where you would think that it would be, it's shelved right next to the baby dolls. The regular Nerf guns have names like Centaurian and Annihilator. The Rebelle line has names such as Heartbreaker Bow and Pink Crush. They have darts that are colorful with feminine designs such as flowers and swirls, whereas the regular Nerf darts are just plain orange with blue tips. There are many jobs out there that are considered to be women's work, such as nursing and teaching. These jobs that are generally thought of as being for women pay much less than the jobs for men, such as being a doctor or a lawyer. Even if a woman has one of those jobs, it's often much harder for her to rise in the ranks than it would be for a man. Women, as I have said earlier, have been fighting for their country on the front lines for years, disguised as men. Many of them have even been commended for being such excellent soldiers and just as good as their fellow male soldiers. Why then, if it has already been proven that they can, why are they not allowed to fight on the front lines if they want to defend their country? Why are these things still happening in today's society? Why haven't they been stopped? The people in charge are really bothered by it. While people often complain about these issues, people usually disregard them for whatever reason. There's no way to force people to hire someone that they don't want to hire. Unfortunately, for the most part, the men on the top of the food chain only seem to want to bring in more like themselves. While some people may be turned away because they're genuinely not right for the job, not everyone who gets the job may be better than some who don't. They might just fit into the description that the employer feels more comfortable around. Whatever the reasons for these inequalities, they can be avoided, at least in some ways. This discrimination cannot be wiped out completely, but we can try. For adults, we could take name and gender off of applications. Some places have already taken gender off, but names are still a dead giveaway as to whether you're a guy or a girl. They should just take them right off and call people in for interviews based solely on the virtues of their resume. In order for background checks to be done, social security numbers could be provided. This way, the most qualified person would always be hired, regardless of gender. As far as high school, we should put a stop to the idea of gender-specific sports and clubs. We can insert male cheerleaders, football players, guys who love home ec, and girls who are captains of the chess team into mainstream media as if they were commonplace instead of making a big deal about it every time like it's something out of the ordinary. We could encourage gender neutrality instead of gender domination. In order to stop it from happening during the developmental stages of childhood, we can desegregate toy stores. We can stop separating the toys based on the gender that they are associated with. Toys R Us has already started this. Why should trucks be for boys and dolls be for girls? My 6-year-old niece used to be in love with John Deere tractors. The toys, the clothes, anything with a tractor on it, she wanted it. But then, when she was about 3 years old, somebody told her that tractors were for boys. By the time she was 4, she wanted nothing to do with John Deere tractors. In fact, she wanted nothing to do with anything that might be considered for boys. All because somebody told her that girls don't play with tractors. What we should really do, though, is start at the beginning. In fact, we could start it off right from birth. You can stop the stigma that pink is for girls and blue is for boys. That forms a rift straight away. It shows that boys and girls should not be put in the same category and should instead be considered separate. We can also stop the idea of certain names being for a certain gender. Would it really be so terrible for there to be a little boy named Maddie or a little girl named Randy? The problem here is that males are the main group here being represented in the workforce. It hasn't been solved because said males have no problem with it, and they're the ones in the places of power. If everyone put a little less emphasis on gender, this problem could be solved. I'm not saying this inequality is intentional. I'm only saying that men have a higher chance of getting a better job since most employers are male who feel most comfortable around other males. They are more likely to get jobs, even if they aren't the most qualified. Imagine a world where anyone can get a job as long as they're qualified for it. Your name or gender won't get you a lower or higher chance. Being a woman doesn't make people uncertain about your ability to do certain things. Imagine a world where there is no prejudice in the hiring process. However, if it goes on the way it is now, then there is a huge chance that it will never change. We might always live in a world where you can't pay the bills just because no one wants to hire a woman to be a construction worker or a lawyer. Maybe no one wants to go to a female doctor. Much like Margaret Ann Bulkley, we live in a world where the workforce is dominated by men. And while we don't have to dress up like men to become a doctor, you may have to dress up like one to get a job. Thank you.
Is this supposed to be nowadays?
Did it.